Hello, everybody. Welcome to video 20. I have the honor to share this video, which is related to my doctoral dissertation, which was entitled The Teaching of English Pragmalinguistic Forms Through an Avatar Assisted by Artificial Intelligence in English Teaching Education. So in this video, you will learn based on my doctoral thesis, you will be able to understand the role of pragmatics in English teacher education, differentiate between grammatical competence and pragmatic competence, explain how avatars AI-assisted avatars can support pragmatic development, understand the design and findings of a recent doctoral study conducted in Chile, and reflect critically on the implications of artificial intelligence for language teacher or English teacher education in Chile. So imagine a future teacher. She knows grammar, she knows phonology, she knows methodology, she can explain the present perfect, she can explain conditionals, but then a student asks, how can I sound more polite when making a request? And suddenly things become more complicated because language is not only about grammar, language is also about relationships, context, intentions, politeness, social meaning, in other words, pragmatics. And today we will explore whether artificial intelligence can help future teachers develop these often neglected dimension of language. The problem, well, for many years, English teacher education programs have focused primarily on grammar, vocabulary, phonology, methodology. These areas are undoubtedly important. However, a growing body of research suggests that many language learners, even advanced learners, continue to experience difficulties when using language appropriately in social situations. So although they may achieve level C1, level C2, they still struggle with communicating with native speakers or even non-native speakers in given specific contexts. For example, a student may say, give me your notes. This sentence is grammatically correct, fine, but is it socially appropriate? Perhaps not. A more appropriate request might be, would you mind sharing your notes with me in a given specific formal context? Both sentences communicate the same idea, yet they create different interpersonal effects. This illustrates the difference between grammatical competence and pragmatic competence. And this, of course, is fundamental for future teachers or for pre-service teachers that are now that belong now to some second language programs. So what are pragmatic forms? Pragmatic forms are the linguistic resources speakers use to perform communicative functions. Example includes, for example, request, could you help me? Would you mind helping me? I was wondering if you could help me. Apologies. I'm sorry, I apologize. I didn't mean to cause any inconvenience. However, there is a lack of metalinguistic competence. Metalinguistic competence is your ability as a speaker to discriminate and decide which of the expressions should be used in one specific context and the purpose of using such expressions. So the research gap, although pragmatics is recognized as an important component of communicative competence, its teaching remains inconsistent. In many second or English teacher education programs, pragmatic is taught implicitly. Okay, so teacher educators, most of the time expect the students to implicitly apprehend these rules and develop metalinguistic competence. Instruction is fragmented. Opportunities for authentic interactions are limited. As a result, future teachers may gradually graduate with strong linguistic knowledge, but limited awareness of how language functions socially. So this raises an important question. How can we provide meaningful opportunities for pragmatic development? The rationale of the study. Recent advances in artificial intelligence offer new possibilities. So avatars, for example, can simulate conversations. They can interact with learners, respond dynamically, create realistic communicative scenarios. This technology may provide opportunities for repeated practice in situations that would otherwise be difficult to recreate. For example, speaking to a professor, requesting an extension, apologizing for a mistake, refusing an invitation politely. The central question was, can interaction with an AI-assisted avatar help future teacher educators develop English pragmatic forms? How was the study conducted? The study was carried out with a group of pre-service English teachers enrolled in an English teaching program in Chile. Participants interacted with artificial participants that belong to the experimental group. There were 21 students who interacted with artificial intelligence-assisted avatars across a series of pedagogical design tasks. The intervention focused on request, refusal, apology, suggestion. Okay. The students completed communicative activities requiring them to make pragmatic choices in realistic scenarios. The study examined changes in pragmalinguistic competence, the ability to use appropriate linguistic forms, and metapragmatic awareness, their ability to explain and reflect upon those choices. Data were collected and analyzed to determine whether there were significant differences between the experimental and control group. These are the avatars, okay, allele avatars that were used as part of the study. These were the 6 forms that were tested as part of the experiment. And having analyzed the results, okay, what was found? Well, after statistical analysis, the findings suggested that interaction with avatars contributed positively to the development of pragmalinguistic forms. Participants demonstrated greater awareness of contextual appropriateness, increased use of pragmatically appropriate expressions, improved ability to explain their linguistic choices, and enhanced metapragmatic reflection. Students appear to become more conscious, and this is an important part of the study, of how language choices influenced interpersonal relationships. Importantly, the avatar didn't simply provide answers. It created opportunities for personalized feedback, interaction, reflection. It helped the students to behave communicatively appropriate in a given specific context. Why do these findings matter? Teacher education is not only about learning English, it is about learning how to teach the language. So future teachers must be able to model appropriate communication, pragmatic awareness, contextualized language use. If teachers themselves develop stronger pragmatic competence, they are more likely to help future learners communicate successfully. These studies suggest that artificial intelligence can become a valuable complement to traditional instruction, not a replacement for teachers, careful, just a tool that expands learning opportunities. How can this doctoral thesis dissertation impact EFL teaching? If you're an EFL teacher watching this video, well, teach pragmatics explicitly. Don't assume students will acquire pragmatic competence naturally. Discuss politeness, indirectness, appropriateness, social relationships. Use role plays. Create realistic scenarios. Allow students to experiment with different language choices. Encourage reflection every time, not every time, but from time to time. Have the students answer these questions. Why did you choose that expression? Could you say it differently? How might another person interpret that expression? Integrate artificial intelligence thoughtfully in the classroom. Artificial intelligence tools can provide additional practice, immediate interaction, various communicative scenario, especially in EFL contexts where authentic exposure is limited. EFL reflection. Think about your own teaching. How much classroom time is devoted to grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation? How much time is devoted to politeness, request, apologies, interpersonal communication, sounding formal, sharing with your friends in an informal context? Perhaps one of the challenges of language teaching is that we often teach what is easiest to measure, yet communication depends heavily on what is hardest to measure. Pragmatics. This is food for further research, and I will be glad that those people interested in this field can get in touch with me and we can share views on this research line. To what extent can artificial intelligence-assisted avatar foster long-term pragmatic development? Which pragmatic functions benefit most from artificial intelligence-mediated interaction? Can artificial intelligence-assisted avatars support intercultural pragmatic competence? How does artificial intelligence-based interaction compare with human interaction in developing pragmatic competence? What role should artificial intelligence play in future English teacher education programs? How can it be integrated? Can artificial intelligence facilitate individualized pragmatic instruction and also feedback? How can teacher educators balance technological innovation with human interaction? Now, this is my final reflection based on my doctoral thesis. a dissertation that consisted of 3 parts. In the first part, we identified the niche. Okay, we identified and we realized that English second programs, English educator programs, second language education programs lacked pragmatic linguistic development. We also, in the second part, we did this quasi-experimental study. Okay, we implemented this quasi-experimental study to demonstrate that the avatar could have a positive effect on the experimental group, and they reached statistically significant results in the analysis. And thirdly, we also collected their views, perceptions on the tool, the artificial intelligence tool, in which they mentioned that they really enjoyed interacting with the avatar, that it replicated human interaction, and that it was useful for them to make the right decisions, metapragmatic awareness, they made the right decisions to interact and to pick up the forms in other real contexts. So it was replicable to real communication. So perhaps the future of language teaching is not about choosing between teacher and technology. Perhaps it is about finding ways for both to work together. Artificial intelligence can provide opportunities for interaction, but teachers provide something equally important that can be replaced by technology: guidance, reflection, judgment, and of course, human understanding. Because ultimately, learning a language is not only about producing correct sentences, it is about communicating appropriately with other human beings. And that remains one of the most important goals of language education. So these are some of the APA references and citations and the bibliography that I consulted when completing my doctoral dissertation. And if you've liked this video, please subscribe and join the live sessions shortly. Thank you. Bye.